What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to The Tangent. It's just me, Hunter, today, and we have a couple things to go over. So this is not going to be a very long episode, but the first thing we'll go over is the leaked image of Dinah Drake's Black Canary suit. At first glance, I was kind of put off by it, but honestly, looking at it more, it's kind of growing on me. I really think it will grow on other people as well. There's a lot of people in the comments of that photo, and they were kind of dissing on it, didn't really like it. There were some that were liking it, and some that were hoping that it would grow on them, and I'm hoping it grows on me as well. I think it's just one of those cases where we need to see it in action, see the full thing in action, and it might look a lot better. I'm glad she's not wearing Laurel's suit, because I feel like that would be kind of disrespectful to Laurel to wear the same suit as her. But I like some of the, I don't know if it's leaked really, but I'm going to call it leaked concept art of a memorial case for Laurel's Black Canary suit. I'm really liking that they did have like a memorial case, kind of like the Jason Todd Robin suit in the Batcave, have the memorial chamber for Laurel's Black Canary suit. So I'm really digging that. The Dinah Drake's suit, I'm liking it. I'm hopeful for it, I should say. It's the sleeveless design with basically sleeves going up from the wrist, and it's not attached at the vest, basically. I like it. A little bit impractical, it seems like, because I feel like in reality those sleeves would keep falling, like scrunching up. So I'm curious to see how that works, and I'm curious to see what the whole outfit looks like. We've only seen like the waist up, so I'm curious to see, and I'm curious to see if she gets if she goes full blonde, because she still has like her brownish hair. So I'm really curious to see if she's gonna go more like the Laurel Lance blonde or Sarah Lance wig blonde. I'm really curious. It's just one of those things that we're going to have to see in action. I need to see it in action. It was kind of like the Ben Affleck Batsuit. He looks really bulky in a lot of the still photos of the suit. So, but in the movie, it looks really good. There's some scenes where it looks really bulky and kind of ridiculous. Not ridiculous, but impractical at times. But in that warehouse fight scene, great. The suit looked great. Only complaint was at the end when he went to when he stabs the knife in the guy's shoulder. That scene where like he stands up, the suit looks really bulky on him again. But in the other scenes of the movie, the suit looks really, really well, like not too bulky. I'm really happy with that. And in Suicide Squad, it looked great as well. One of my favorite shots in Suicide Squad is when he comes gliding down behind Deadshot, and you just see him standing there. The suit looks so good, so I'm really happy with that. But getting back to Black Canary, I just need to see the whole thing in action. The stills can be misleading. Also, like Tyler Hoechlin's Superman suit. That first image when it was him and Supergirl standing side by side, a lot of people hated the suit because it made him the suit looked stupid kind of in that photo. But when set photos kind of got leaked from people, the suit looked really good. And he looked really good as Superman. Just in those photos that weren't meant to be good looking photos of the suit or Superman himself. So, don't judge a book by its cover. The suit might look way better in action, and it'll grow on us as we get going. But at least we know that Black Canary, or Dinah Drake, as Black Canary, did not die on the island. So that's one character confirmed, which is great. So, my opinion, I'm hopeful for the suit. I'm hoping that it looks really good, works well with if they decide to change the Green Arrow suit again. I hope they keep the sleeves. I really do. I'm just kind of curious if they're going to make the suit brighter green a little bit, like a little bit brighter of a green, and just to see what else is upgraded. If anybody else is getting a new suit, are we going to get a Red Arrow this season? I don't know. I would love to get either Colton Haynes' Roy back. I would love to have him come back as a series regular, but I don't think that's going to happen. So, and we're not getting Thea back, unfortunately. I mean, she's okay. She's kind of becoming a Laurel Lance, I think, from when season 2 when she was having the drinking and drug problems. I didn't really like Laurel then. That's kind of what Thea was coming for the season, the past couple seasons, I guess. She's been that way, kind of with Felicity as well. Felicity's been kind of one of those characters that's kind of getting on my nerves as well. Into season 5, she was kind of getting redeemed in my eyes. So I'm looking forward to that. But, we'll just see. I would love to see a Red Arrow come back into the picture, because the Arsenal suit and Thea's, it was basically the same suit, looked great. So I want to see it in action again. It was great when we got Colton Haynes back for that episode in season 4 for the calculator. That was great to see him back in the suit. Makes me want him back as a series regular as Arsenal. But anyway, I got off topic from that Dinah Drake costume. Looking forward to it. I'm hopeful about it. Pretty much all of Arrow's costumes, like for their characters, have looked pretty good. The one that I don't like the most doesn't exist anymore. It was Diggle's first helmet that he got. I didn't really like it. I like the new one that he got. I just kind of think the lights in it that are shining on his face are kind of ridiculous. I wish it was just a full tinted screen, almost mirrored, where we couldn't see in but he could see out. Had maybe a little HUD in it that Cisco built in. I would prefer that instead of the light shining on his face. Seems really impractical, but whatever. Maybe we'll get that this season. Who knows? Since he's not Guardian, he's Spartan. Maybe he'll become Guardian. I don't know. Even though we have Guardian on Supergirl. But anyway, once again, I'm hopeful. Looking forward to it. Hopefully the suit in action will make it look better. I'm curious as to the backstory, as to how she acquired the suit, if they even show us that. I would be curious to see what happens. So, moving on from superhero show news, TV show news, or even movies, really, we're going to go on to something different. A couple days ago, I think it was last Thursday, I could be wrong, but I went and saw 47 Meters Down with my mom and brother and basically my sister. It was okay. It's definitely no Jaws. For just outright, it's not Jaws. So don't go into it expecting a great shark movie. It's not that. It has some intense moments, but there's also a lot. I wouldn't say a lot. There's just quite a few stupid decisions. So I'm gonna go into some spoilers on the movie. Just to forewarn you guys, there's gonna be some spoilers because it's not that great of a movie. So I don't want to try to dance around the spoilers and I'm just gonna talk about it outright. Makes it easier. So first thing, I don't know why they were on the boat. They explain it as the two sisters. One of them doesn't get out and do fun things really, so her younger sister talks her into doing the shark diving thing. And they go with these two guys that they met in Mexico that they kind of known a little bit. That kind of talked them into it. And they go there. The boat they get on is the shadiest boat you could think of for shark diving, shark cage diving. When they pull up to the boat, it looks really disgusting. The whole winch system is completely rusted. Completely rusted. The cage is completely rusted. And why? Did you think that's a good idea? Why did you trust that? These two guys that you've known for a couple days, you trusted them with your lives, and it cost one of the sisters their lives. So there's one of the spoilers. The blonde does die, rather stupidly. I will admit, kind of stupidly. But before we get to that, because I was more toward the end of the movie, the boat, shadiest thing, worst boat to be on for shark cage diving. The winch was terrible. It was just completely rusted. The cage was completely rusted. I'm surprised the gear was as good a shape as it was in. It looked like brand new gear, but everything else looked completely just disgusting. So that didn't make any sense. But I will say, I don't know if they actually did some shark cage diving for some of the scenes, actual shark cage diving, to get some shots. And I don't know if the actresses were actually there, if they put them in the scene. But you can definitely tell some of the sharks are CG. And a lot of the sharks look good. Like, I think when they're at the bottom of the ocean in the 47 meters down thing, all those sharks have to be CG, and they're pretty good. But there's so little appearance of the sharks. It's more or less them just sitting in the darkness, contemplating how the hell they're gonna get out of there, panicking. I don't know how they survived the fall, because they fell, like, it wasn't like they were lowered like 20 meters and they only fell 20 meters, 7 meters down or whatever. They were at basically coming out of the water when the winch broke, and then they fell 47 meters, and like nothing was broken. None of the gear was screwed up. Like, their masks should have been like cracked. Some of the valves on the front of it should have been screwed up. But they weren't hurt. Like, one of the girls was like knocked out and she had some like blood that she was spitting up. But other than that, they weren't hurt. Shouldn't make any sense. And funny enough, you find, and as you hear and see, basically, you see the really completely rusted out winch falling with them, and it lands on top of the cage. So they're screwed, and it's just like I said, there's some good tense moments when when the blonde is getting out of the cage, like trying to get out of the cage. It has an angle from like in the darkness, as if it's trying to portray that like what you're seeing is from like a shark's view, as the blonde is trying to get out of the cage and she can't. And the entire time you're waiting for a shark to come by and like bite her leg off, or both of them. But it doesn't happen. Then she goes back in the cage, takes off all of her gear, takes off her mask. Maybe she doesn't take off her mask. I can't remember. But she gets through the cage again. As she's trying to get through the cage, you basically go back to that same angle of like maybe you're looking through a shark's POV, and nothing happens. Nothing happens again. So they build up this tension and don't pay it off. Like, no shark swims by. Like, the shark doesn't even have to attack her. Just swim by. Like, you just see the shark swimming in the darkness. Like, he's just barely breaking where like the cage lights are showing. You can just kind of see him swimming by. They don't do any of that. It's literally just the darkness for a little while. And then she swims up into radio contact distance, because the radio signal was terrible. So she swam up some. That's why she got out. She swam up to get in radio contact. And I think the first time she goes up, nothing happens. She comes back down, talks to him. Then she goes back up again, because they thought that they left him to die, basically, because they heard the boat leaving. And so they went up, or she went up again. And because they also, when she came back, they moved the winch off of the cage door it was blocking the door, so they couldn't get out. That's why she had to go through like one of the rectangle slots in the cage to get out. They moved that so you can just get into the door. And there was a few times when they were getting in and out of the cage where it looked like they were building up for a shark to come at them. And I don't think it did. I don't think, from what I remember, no shark came at the cage. So, yeah. Maybe one did and was starting biting at the cage. I think so. I think one did come and like start biting on the cage and almost broke through some of the steel rods, basically. But that was really about it. But then she goes out for the second or third time, and she's talking to the captain. I can't remember his name. And then a shark swims at her, tries to bite her, and then there's that little chase scene where the shark is coming after her. And I think that's maybe when the shark bites the cage. But like, they don't pay off a lot of the suspense. Yeah. And then this is where the biggest stupid decision they made was, the brunette, which is the one, the shy one that doesn't do a lot of fun stuff. I believe it was the blonde was running out of air, so the brunette had the most air. She was leaving because I saw the captain was sending one of the guys down to come get them, to bring a cable for the spare winch that they had on the boat somewhere. They didn't really show a spare winch when they were up there, but whatever. but they see the flashlight, and it's not coming toward them, and he's not talking to them. The guy's not talking to him. So she swims out of the cage to go find the flashlight, and she's staying against the ocean floor. She gets rushed by a shark like twice, and she like gets away from it. And then she swims up to the edge, and like it just drops off into like a chasm, and it's just pitch black. And I'm pretty sure most sane people would just turn around and go back instead of venturing out into this, swimming over this void where some huge sharks are going to be that would just devour you. But, being a movie, she just swims out. She's like, I'm going to go for it. And she swims out and finds this little bitty rock thing, or maybe it was like the other side, I don't know. And she finds the flashlight, but no person. Well, then she gets turned around because she starts swimming around too much. Can't remember which way she came from. And then I think the guy shows up, and then he gets eaten by a shark. Like he's telling her to run, and he has like a spear gun. And so the shark comes up, like bites him and kills him basically. She grabs a spear gun and his flashlight and starts swimming back, finds her sister through like the radio, and her sister guides her back into the cage. There's just, why? Why did you have to swim over there? If you saw the flashlight sitting there, wouldn't you think that he's probably dead or that he dropped it? So why not try to talk to the radio again? But instead she just swims over this chasm, making a really stupid decision. And I'm pretty sure she gets chased again. Yeah, I don't know. Just, if you want to just have a fun time, go watch the movie. The best scene in the movie has to be, because, okay, they do get the cable, and they start to get pulled up again, and they get up to like 20 meters, and the cable breaks, and they fall back down, and this time, the brunette actually gets hurt. The cage goes sideways, and her leg was outside the cage, and it lands on her leg, so she can't move. So that was nice that they actually injured one of the people when the cage fell again. But they were running out of air, so the captain sent down 2 extra air tanks. The blonde, who actually knew how to dive, went out and got the air tanks, switched her air tank over, and was going back to the cage, and a shark was coming, so she was laying low so the shark didn't get her. Then she made a stupid decision to try to make a rush for the cage. It wasn't a big distance, but you're a human swimming in the bottom of the ocean against a shark that lives in the ocean that can swim really fast. So she makes a break for the cage, and it's probably like 3 or 4 feet to the opening of the cage. And a shark comes by and hits her, I guess, or bites her. I wasn't paying attention. So she gets killed, and the brunette that's trapped has to work out a way to get the other air tank. So the spear gun that's there, she reaches for it, cuts her hand, bleeding out of the hand and getting blood into the water. So eventually, when she's basically out of air, like when her tank is empty, she finally grabs a hold of the extra air tank and pulls it toward her, and switches them over. And there's a thing about carbon something where if you don't do it right or whatever, you might start getting hallucinations, and they played the hallucination really well. I would have been happy if that was the ending, how they got rescued. What the hallucination was, it was that she took her vest that you inflate, I can't remember the name of it, puts it under the cage and inflates it to lift the cage enough off of her leg, and she like cuts her leg pretty deep. She gets out and she hears her sister, and it's like her sister's alive, but she's bleeding out. So she goes and finds her. She's bleeding really bad. They go up, swimming up to the top, and they take their like 5-minute break, and they're being swarmed by sharks. They have these flares to ward off the sharks, and they're swimming up, and then they light one, and it was a cool scene because when they light it, you see these sharks are swarming them, and they're fending these sharks off. The first flare goes out. The sister that's bleeding out reaches for another flare, but she's so weak she drops one of them. So the other sister, the brunette one, has to find their last flare and use it. And at that time, right when it goes out, the captain tells them to rush to the surface and just swim. Go to the surface. They toss some people on the boat, toss some life preservers, or the orange circle thing. Sorry, I just can't think of the words for these things. Throws it to him, and they grab on him. They start pulling him, and the brunette gets grabbed by a shark, gets out of it. Somehow they didn't really show it. Then they get all the way to the boat, and they're getting pulled up, and another shark goes for her leg and grabs her and starts pulling on her, and you see her like punching the shark. I think she like jams her thumb in his eye. The shark lets go, and she gets rescued, and they're like on the boat thinking they're rescued, and then it starts to show that she's underwater because she starts talking weird, like water's above her face, but there's nothing there. The captain starts sounding weird, and he's telling her she's having hallucinations. And around this time, because the Coast Guard had been alerted, and the Coast Guard finally shows up, finds the cage, gets her out, whatever, and it just abruptly ends. Like she's with the Coast Guard, and they're right there at the surface of the water, and then it just ends. The movie's just over. And even my mom was like, "What? You can't just end it like that." And I was like, "Yeah, I want to see them get on the boat. I want to see her get on the boat and go off on the captain and all them. Just she's screaming and yelling at them because they got her sister killed. Granted, her sister kind of got herself killed, but had they not been in the cage in the first place, they wouldn't be in that situation. So, kind of their fault for having really crappy equipment. So, I understand. I wanted to see that. I wanted to see her be angry, her recover. I wanted to see that, but the movie just ends. As if they didn't have an ending in mind, so they said, this will work. We want to get this movie out there just because we want to get it out. So, if you just want a fun time with some kind of intense moments, go see it. It'll work for that. Just don't expect like Jaws, or just don't expect a really great movie. It's a decent movie. So if you just need something to do for the weekend, go see it. There's other movies. One I'd recommend is Wonder Woman. Go see Wonder Woman over this, hands down. Any day of the week, I would recommend Wonder Woman over this. If you haven't seen it, but if you've already seen Wonder Woman and you want to see something different, go for it. So that wraps it up for 47 Meters Down and the new Dinah Drake Black Canary suit on Arrow. Let me know what you guys think of the season 6 Black Canary suit in the comments below. And if you've seen 47 Meters Down, let me know what you thought in the comments below. Do you agree with what I had my problems with it? Let me know in the comments below. I'd really appreciate it. So that's pretty much all I got for you guys for this episode, since it's just me. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. This has been Hunter with The Tangent. And until we talk again, make sure to have plenty of tangents, guys.